Hey everybody, welcome back to the Arbitrage Academy. I'm your host, STR Coach Mike. And in today's video, I'm going to show you how to earn between $5,000 and $10,000 per month in profit on Airbnb without owning any of the property. And before we get started, be sure to like and subscribe for more content on how to triple your short-term rental arbitrage business in 2023. And yeah, this year people now more than ever are searching for new opportunities to earn a side income or even a main income. And a lot of people are looking for something ideally that gives them the ability to be remote, or what I like to call location independent. And I was actually in this exact situation just a few years ago. In a past life, I was a financial advisor, and I was looking for an opportunity to leave corporate America and travel the world, but without having to sacrifice my quality of life. So really, I needed to figure out a way to obtain financial freedom, location freedom, and time freedom. And today I want to talk to you about the business model that allowed me to achieve those three items. And that business model is called short-term rental arbitrage. Now, what is short-term rental arbitrage? This is a business model where you sign a long-term lease contract in an apartment or a house, and then with the owner's consent in writing, you subrent those properties out to short-term clients using platforms such as Airbnb, Booking.com, could be VRBO. You may even have your own direct website. There's a number of ways that you can get those guests. However, as the business operator, you're looking to make the difference between the nightly rate that you charge your guests and the monthly rent that you pay for the apartment. And that difference is called the arbitrage. Now, because you don't own the property, you rent the property, the cost of getting into these properties is a fraction of what it would cost if you were going to purchase a home. So this is really where the beauty of this business model comes into play, how you acquire these properties. So let's say, for example, you want to purchase a house that costs $500,000. If you put down 20% towards that house, that's $100,000 just on the down payment. Then you still have to furnish the property, which let's say for that size home costs $10,000. So right now you're in for $110,000, and you still have to pay a monthly mortgage payment. Now, on the other hand, with rental arbitrage, instead of purchasing the home, I go and sign a long-term lease contract. And let's say that property costs $2,500 a month in rent. So I pay the $2,500 a month in rent, plus let's say furniture still costs $10,000. That's it. It's rent and furniture. So you're all into one property for roughly $12,500 if you do rental arbitrage, versus if you're purchasing the home being in for over $110,000. So this cuts your expenses down to a fraction of the price. It's just 10%. You could take that same amount of the down payment and go get 5 or even 10 cash flowing properties that you can add to your portfolio. Now, while you don't have the benefit of the increasing equity, right? You don't own the property, so you don't get that equity over time. But because of your cost of acquisition is exponentially lower, your cash flow is going to be exponentially higher, right? So that's the benefit of this business model, is the cash flow. If you're wondering, yes, landlords agree to this. Yes, there are incredible opportunities for properties out there. No, it's not too late to get into this type of business model. And if you follow my channel for more tips and tricks on how to actually make this happen, right? We'll teach you how to do this process step by step. But for now, here's how you can make $5,000 to $10,000 per month using short-term rental arbitrage on Airbnb. So step number 1 is you got to pick a market. Now, you could theoretically do this anywhere in the world. I always suggest that when you're first starting, try to pick a location that's going to be close to where you currently live. Or at the very least, pick a location that you're going to be spending a lot of time in, because when you're first learning, you're going to just make a lot of beginner's mistakes. There's going to be more of that learning curve, right? There's just things that you'll learn through experience that'll make the process go smoother. And if you're there locally, you can a lot easier put out fires and handle day-to-day activities before you grow and scale a team. But you want to pick a market that's going to be good. So you don't just have to focus on areas that already have a major tourist market. right? A lot of people think you have to go into Miami or New York City or Madrid, Spain, but that's actually not the case. You can pick markets that have good demand, both for tourism, but also good demand for business travel, right? Corporate travel. You can also do areas that have a lot of hospitals and universities. So there's a lot of different markets that would have demand. Now, step two, once you've selected the market, you want to create your actual business structure. So if you're in the United States, that's likely going to be an LLC. If you're outside of the United States, then you want to take a look into what is the local equivalent. In my market, here in Medellin, Colombia, they call it an SAS. So that's step number two. Step number three is actually locating properties for rent. So again, depending on the market that you're in, it's going to change the way that you actually locate these properties. But let's say, for example, you're located in the United States. What I would do is I would go download every single app out there that follows the guidelines of something like a Zillow.com or a Realtor.com or Redfin, any kind of real estate based app that's going to show apartments and houses for rent. Then you can use those to schedule tours and ideally build rapport and then eventually make the pitch. Here in Colombia, things work a little bit differently because people don't use apps in order to rent apartments and homes. Typically, they use real estate agencies similar to how we would if we were buying or selling a property. Here, it's more based on the relationships that you have and the word of mouth that you have. But depending on your market, you need to hone in on those different types of things, either building the relationships or using the technology that's in place. Step number four is once you've actually located the properties, now it's time to convince the owner. Now, essentially in a nutshell, what I teach my clients and what I do in my own practice is I market myself as a corporate housing company. Again, there's a certain way we do this. You can do it a few different ways. But at the end of the day, the thing that you need to highlight to the landlord is the advantages that they have of working with you versus a traditional tenant. You want to be marketing things like the fact that you're going to have regular checkouts monthly, and every time a guest checks out, you come in and professionally clean the home. And once every few months, you deep clean the home. You also make sure that they understand you're going to handle all minor maintenance. And the property is going to be regularly maintained because at all times you want to provide a 5-star accommodation to your guests. The third thing that you want to highlight is the fact that you could potentially be the last tenant that they ever have if they want. Because once that 1-year contract is up, you're going to continue to renew, and ideally you're going to negotiate for even longer contracts because then you can negotiate concessions. So if you have any questions, certainly reach out because this is a nuanced topic, but those are the core concepts that you want to make sure you portray during your pitch. Now, step 5, once you've got the properties, you want to furnish and design them, and you want to do so in a way that optimizes them for a short-term rental because again, you're not looking to sign a long-term tenant. There's not going to be somebody that's living there long term. The average guest that you have may stay 7 days, may stay 2 weeks, maybe a little bit longer or shorter depending on the market that you have, but they are going to be short-term clients, and you want to furnish and design and essentially optimize your property in a way that allows you to maximize your income. So for example, if you have a principal bedroom that is larger than normal and it has space to fit more than one bed, you can think of putting more than one bed in each room so that you can increase your occupancy, which ultimately allows you to charge higher nightly rates. You also want to take a look at the other competition in the area because there might be a specific type of design style that allows you to stand out from the rest. There may be certain amenities that are lacking in your market, but that there are a high demand for. So for example, I was looking in Raleigh, North Carolina the other day, and out of all the properties in Raleigh, there were over 800 listings. Only 46 of them had a jacuzzi. And the properties that had a jacuzzi, on average, were charging between $50 and $100 per night more at the minimum. And so by installing the jacuzzi, you have now a competitive advantage and can charge higher nightly rates. So it's really, really important to pick a design style, and you can do so based on what your competition is doing around you. Step 6. Once everything's set up, you want to take professional photos. And I can't stress this enough. This is an area that you do not want to cut any corners. When you provide photos to your listing, that's the number one thing that stands out to a potential guest. And so this is essentially your property's billboard or your commercial. And first impressions are everything. So if you have very high quality professional photos that clearly show your home, clearly show the amenities, and show why this property is better than the competition, it's going to attract more attention, and then you're going to be able to convert more of that attention to reservations. Now, step 7. Not only do you want to create a really good listing on Airbnb, but you want to look up what other platforms are popular in your area. It could be booking.com, it could be VRBO, it could be Expedia, it could be Travelocity. It could also be the fact that you start your own website and do direct marketing. If you are overly reliant on one platform, then you have a much higher risk that your business can fail. Because if that company for any reason changes its rules or decides that they don't like you or you broke the rules and they cut off that source of business, what are you going to do? So being able to list on multiple platforms is incredibly important. Step 8 is to build a housekeeping system. You want to make sure that you train and hire really good housekeepers that you trust, that you have a step-by-step housekeeping system that they can follow that's repeatable, and the ability to provide a clean and maintained property for your guests is essential. This seems like it might be a basic concept, but guys, this is absolutely hands down the most important part of making sure your business operates in a smooth way. Step 9 is develop a pricing strategy. You want to make sure that you're strategically increasing and decreasing your rates throughout the year so that you can maximize both your occupancy and increase your nightly rates, because you should aim to make roughly $800 to $1,200 per room per month in profit. That's the goal. And if you follow these steps, then you're going to be making $5,000 to $10,000 per month in profit in no time. In fact, you could be making that with as little as 3 properties. And as you get the hang of it and build a very smooth system, you can also remove yourself from the business and become fully passive if you want. At first, it's active, but that is something that's available and something that I've been transitioning to in my own business. So feel free to post comments in the section below. Also be sure to like and subscribe for more content on how to start and scale your short-term rental arbitrage business.